Welcome to the first ever EzzyBills webinar. My name is Richard and I'll be presenting today's webinar called How Your Practice Can Get the Most Out of EzzyBills. So we wanted to run this webinar for accountants, bookkeepers who are using EzzyBills, just to make sure that you're familiar with all of our enterprise features so you can provide as much value as possible to your clients from using EzzyBills. So we've also got a couple of new features inside of EzzyBills to share with you, which many of you probably haven't seen yet. And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to have Michael jump in and we'll give you guys a chance to ask any questions you have about EzzyBills and enterprise features. So if you do have any questions as I'm going along, you can use the Q&A button, which you should see at the bottom of your screen, and you can type your question in there. Then Mike will address any questions that have been asked at the end of the presentation. Otherwise, you can just wait until Michael comes on and ask your questions through the Q&A section then. So if you have registered for this webinar, then most likely you are already using EzzyBills, but there's probably a few people in here who don't already have an EzzyBills account. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a couple of polls to get a better idea of the audience that we've got on here today. So the first question I am going to ask is, are you an existing EzzyBills user? Yes or no? And I'll give everyone a moment to answer that question. And I'd also like to know what accounting software you use. So the options are Xero, QuickBooks, MyOb, or other. And if you have a lot of clients who are all using different accounting packages, then just select the one which you use yourself or the one which most of your clients are using. And I suspect that Xero is probably going to get the most votes here. We do have a pretty high percentage of EzzyBills accounts that are connected to Xero, especially here in Australia and New Zealand. So just give everyone a few more seconds to answer those questions and see what results we get. Okay, so for the first question, are you an existing EzzyBills user? We've got 79% yes, who are existing EzzyBills users, 21% no. And then for what accounting system do you use? We've got 84% at Xero, 21% on QuickBooks, 26% MyOb, and 11% other, which is about what I would have expected. Okay, thanks for that, guys, and let's move on with the webinar now. So it's probably not going to be a really long webinar, maybe 20-25 minutes. I'm sure you guys are all busy, so I don't want to run this for too long, but hopefully in this short amount of time you are going to get a lot of value and ideas that you can take away with you. There will be a recording of the webinar, which we will make available after, and we'll email out a link for that. So if anyone else in your practice isn't available today to watch this webinar, and they can take a look at the recording another time. Otherwise, if you can't remember something I discussed in the webinar, you can always come back to the recording to review it. So now that I know a little bit about everyone on this webinar, I'll quickly provide a rundown on EzzyBills and also myself. So EzzyBills was founded in 2014. We're a software company based in New South Wales, Australia. We work with bookkeepers, accountants, business owners from all over the world. And the main things that really appeal to our customers and separate us from competitors are our fast and accurate processing, the fact that we are able to extract line items, and also that we do offer a very affordable solution compared to other services in the market. And a little bit about myself. My name is Richard McGrath. I'm the partner manager here at EzzyBills, and I do a lot with the marketing and customer support side of the business. I joined EzzyBills in March this year when I moved up here from Adelaide. And if you would like to connect with me after this webinar, feel free to connect on LinkedIn. You can search for Richard McGrath and you should be able to find me there. So most of you are probably already somewhat familiar with EzzyBills and our user interface and how to process bills inside of EzzyBills. But for those of you who aren't so familiar, or for those of you who haven't used EzzyBills before, I'm just going to do a quick demo to show you how it all works. So I'll take you over to EzzyBills and share my screen with you here. This is my EzzyBills testing account. And what you see here is the main screen for users inside of EzzyBills. Up the top here, we have this grey rectangle, which you can drag and drop your invoices into. This right here is the EzzyBills upload email address, which you can forward bills to. And then underneath down here, we have the most recent invoices that have been processed through EzzyBills. These ones are all green, which means they have been successfully exported to my accounting software. If they're displaying in red, it means there's been some sort of error. And what you can do is scroll your mouse over the tile to get more details on it. If I put my mouse over one of these tiles, I'll be able to view all the main details, so the total, tax, and supplier name. Then if I click up here, I can view the invoice document. Down here, I can view it in my accounting system, which is Xero in this case. And if I click up here, I can view the log, which you usually don't need to worry about unless something isn't working properly. To upload an invoice, we can use the drag and drop function. So what I'll do is I'll grab an invoice from my desktop. I'll drag it into the grey rectangle here. And then we'll wait for EzzyBills to extract all the data from that invoice and push it across to Xero. I don't have approval switched on for this account, but I could go into my settings, switch on enable approvals, and then it would need myself or someone else to approve the invoice before it's exported to Xero. But this one should go straight into Xero as a draft bill. And there it is. As you can see, it's turned to green now, which means it has extracted all the data from the invoice and exported it over to Xero. And as you can see, if I put my mouse across it, you've got the total, GST, and the supplier. If I go into Xero, I can view more details, and there it is in Xero with line items, coding, and everything in there. The other way to process an invoice is by sending it to your EzzyBills upload email address, which is this one up here. So that will be your username at ezzybills.com. And so what you'd do there is you'd create an email, add the invoice as an attachment, and then send it to this email address. The other thing you can do is you can get clients to have their suppliers forward invoices directly to that email address, and it will work the same way. So that brings me to our new features that we want to talk about. And not too long ago, we introduced the EzzyBills mobile app. It's available for free on the iPhone and Android app stores, and it can be used for scanning hard copy receipts and invoices, then exporting them to your accounting system. It's really simple to use. A lot of you probably already are using the mobile app. For those of you who are already using it, we have just introduced a new login method for the app in the last few weeks. We were getting a lot of businesses that were coming to us and saying that they want their staff to be able to use the app for expense claims, but they don't want those staff members having their EzzyBills login and password. So what we did is we created a QR code login option. And if you go into the settings in your EzzyBills account, you'll see a QR code in there, which looks something like this. And we automatically generate one of these for every EzzyBills account now. So if you or one of your clients want staff members to use the app, you can just send them your QR code found in settings, and then they would scan that code using the app, and that will log them in. So when you open the app, you'll see a screen like this on the right-hand side. And to log in using the QR code, all you need to do is select the login with QR code option, then take a photo of the QR code with the camera. Something else we have introduced recently is the workflows section in EzzyBills. So looking at the EzzyBills interface here, we can see the workflow tab up the top here. And what that allows us to do is create custom workflow sequences. For example, we could create a workflow which exports the invoice file to Google Drive. If you have a client who has some kind of custom requirement, we may be able to use this workflow section to create something for them. And you can ask us about that if you do need anything that may require a custom workflow. You can try creating your own workflows in here, but unless you're really confident with that, I would suggest speaking to us before trying to create a new workflow. The other thing we have added up here is the Apps tab. And if I click on that, I can see these apps that we have made available to all users. And perhaps the one that you would find most useful is statement reconciliation. And that allows you to upload a statement, and EzzyBills will match it with the invoices in your accounting system to verify what has been paid. Another one which could be useful is download history over here. And this can be used to generate an Excel file with all the invoices you've processed through EzzyBills recently. And to use that, you would send an email to this email address down here, which will be your username.app.downloadhistory@ezzybills.com. And it will generate an Excel file which you can download from the main page in EzzyBills. One more feature to cover before we move on, and that's related to approvals. So if you're using approvals, it's now possible to set the GL code and also tracking in here when you do the approval, and you'll find that down here. Okay, so the main thing we want to cover in this webinar today is how you can manage multiple clients in EzzyBills if you're an accountant or bookkeeper. So I'm going to discuss that in a bit more detail and cover some best practices. Those of you who are already using EzzyBills, you're probably already familiar with our groups. And if we look at my EzzyBills account here, I'll show you the group that I have. So this account here is the primary account within the group I have. And if I go up here, I can click on the drop-down menu there, and that's going to show me all the other accounts in my group. And I can just click on any one of them to access that account. So if I were a bookkeeper, I would have my primary EzzyBills account, which would be this one up the top here. And then I would have all my clients' EzzyBills accounts inside my group, which I can access from here without needing their password. If I wanted to add a client's account to my group, now I could either create an account for them and add it to my group. And I would do this by going into settings. And then I would select this option up the top here to add new account to my group. Otherwise, the client could create an EzzyBills account themselves and request to join your group. And to do so, they would go to settings, scroll down the bottom of the screen here where it says join group, and they would just enter your EzzyBills username in there, select join group, and then you would receive an email saying that so-and-so has just requested to join your group, and you can approve it from that email. Now, one thing that can cause a little confusion sometimes is how the subscriptions work inside of a group. And you basically have two options. So you can either purchase a subscription which will cover all of your clients inside your group, or you can get your clients to purchase their own EzzyBills subscriptions. You just need to be careful if your primary account has a paid subscription. Then if one of the other accounts in the group purchased a subscription, that wouldn't work. And they would still be covered by your primary account subscription, but it would ignore their own subscription. So if you want all your clients to be covered by your subscription, then just make sure you purchase that subscription on your primary account. But if you want clients to pay for their own subscriptions, then make sure you don't purchase a subscription on the primary account. So one question that might come up is, what if you have more than one group? How would you manage that? And that brings me to the EzzyBills HQ account. So this is something that we have introduced fairly recently. And let's take a look at the HQ account. I'm going to open up our own HQ account we have here at EzzyBills, so you can take a look inside. As you can see, inside the HQ account here, we have 6 different groups, and which I can access all of them from this one central location. If I click on one of the groups here, I can see all of the EzzyBills accounts within that group, and then I can easily access any of those accounts like this. And the HQ account is basically one big dashboard that allows you to quickly get an overview of what's going on inside all of the accounts inside your groups. So if I click on one of the groups inside the HQ account, I can quickly switch between those groups and check the status of each account. So if I click on one of these ones in green, I can see that all the invoices inside that account have been processed. But if I go down and see this one here, which is displaying in red, I can click on that and it tells me that there's been one failure. So then I can log into that account and find out what's going on in there. If I want to add another group to my HQ account, I would just come across here and it will give me 2 different options. I can either create a new group to add to HQ, or I can take an existing group and add that to my HQ account. It also makes it easier to add new existing accounts to your group inside the HQ account. And to do that, you'll just come over here and click Add Existing Account to Group. And if I click on that, it will prompt me to enter the username and password for the account that I want to add to the group. And this can be a lot simpler than the normal process of adding another group to your account, where you would need to log in to that account and then go into settings and enter your primary account username in the join group section. So the type of practice that an EzzyBills account is most suited to is one that has several accountants or bookkeepers, and each with their own clients. Each person is going to have their own group or groups, and now we can bring all of those groups together under the single HQ account. But even if you're not a big practice, or if you don't have multiple groups, there can still be some benefit to upgrading to a HQ account, because it does give you that nice overview of all their groups and accounts, and makes it easier to add other groups to the HQ account. There is no additional cost to upgrade to a HQ account, and anyone here can do it. If you do want to upgrade to a HQ account, then you'll want to log into your account. Just make sure it's the primary account if you have a group. And I'll go over to my account here and show you how to do that. So you'll want to go into the settings tab, scroll down to advanced options, keep scrolling down until you get to this here, which says upgrade to a HQ account. And when you click on that, you will get this message about the HQ account. As it says here, if you don't have multiple groups, then you probably don't need a HQ account. And also, if you're not an accountant or bookkeeper, then you probably don't need a HQ account. But if you do have multiple groups, or even if you don't, but you're an accountant or bookkeeper, then you would click on this link here to upgrade to a HQ account. And if you have got multiple groups already, what I'd suggest doing is creating a new EzzyBills account, then upgrading that account to HQ, and then adding your groups inside of there. If you're wondering about how subscriptions work in the HQ account, then if you have multiple groups in your HQ account and you have a subscription on an individual group, the accounts in that group will be covered, and then you would probably purchase a subscription for the primary account in each group. So the HQ account is something fairly new, which we only introduced not too long ago, and we are still looking for ways which we can improve it and make it better. So if you do have any feedback about the HQ account, we would love to hear it, and you can get in contact with myself or Michael by emailing support@ezzydoc.com. And the other thing is, we are intending to run more webinars like this one in the future. So if you have any requests or suggestions on topics that you would like us to cover in future webinars, you can get in contact with us about that as well. We would appreciate that. So now I'm going to hand it over to Michael, who can answer any questions that you have about an HQ account, enterprise features, or anything else I've discussed on the webinar here today. And if you do have questions, just use the Q&A section, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen, and you can type any questions in there, which Michael will address.
Hello, this is Michael from EzzyBills. So I'll just see a couple of questions here that I'll respond to. So first question is, can you put access rights on each group? Well, when you have a HQ account, the HQ account has access to everything underneath it, so all the groups. Each group itself is a separate account. So if you have 3 different groups, and they each have their own user and password. So only the people who have access to that user and password can access that group, and that's the only rights we have. You either have access to that group or you don't have access to the group. And the HQ account above has access to everything. The other question is, how do you restrict access to a group? Well, the expectation is the person who has access to the HQ account, they're the ones who have the right to access any account, any group, and any account under that group. So we don't expect someone to be logging into a HQ account who you want to restrict. So no, we don't have any privileges at present on the HQ account in terms of restricting what is accessible. Someone who can access the HQ account can access everything. If someone can access a group, they can access everything under the group. If someone can access an EzzyBill account, then they can access that account. And so the restrictions really apply at the bottom moving up. So if someone only has access to a particular EzzyBill account, then they can't access the group or the HQ account, etc. Another question asking about a webinar recording. Yes, we will put a webinar up on our website of a recording of the webinar. And so I'll just waiting for if anyone's got any other questions. Yeah, so there's a question about the a subscription. If you purchase a subscription on a HQ account, whether it would cover all the groups. The answer is yes, it would. But the logic of doing that, it might not make a lot of sense. It's likely that if you have a HQ account in multiple groups, it's likely that you'll have a situation where some groups you want covered by your subscription and maybe other groups you don't want covered by your subscription. Maybe in some of our clients, what they have is that have a HQ account with 2 groups. One group is covered by the company's or the firm's subscription, but the other group is a list of all the accounts that pay for their own subscription. So by not having a subscription on the HQ account, you can have a subscription on, say, one of the groups and not a subscription on the other group. And so you can split them up. So the accounts where the user pays and the accounts where the accounting firm pays. If you purchase a subscription on the HQ account, then everything would be covered by that subscription. So it cascades downwards. So if you do, you can purchase a subscription on the HQ account and then everything would be covered by it. Another question about bulk download of invoices. So there's a few different options we have available there. So as Richard mentioned, we do have the ability to export all invoices to Google Drive. So if you do want to have all invoices stored somewhere else, then we do have the ability to do that. It's quite easy to set up and every invoice will go that way. We also have the ability to download all the links to the documents as well. We've had a few requests for the ability to actually download, say, a zip file of all the invoices. We probably will add that in the near term. The only issue becomes it can get quite large. It can be very large. So yeah, we just need to come up with a solution that works. Some more questions. The question is, can someone send one PDF with multiple invoices? And also, does it integrate with companies such as ITM? So we do support auto separation. That's if you go into settings, you'll see that's on by default. And what auto separation means is EzzyBills receives a PDF or a TIFF file, which might have 50 pages in it. And EzzyBills will scan each page looking for the invoice split, which means looking for different invoices, which is typically a change in supplier or the invoice total or something like that, different invoice numbers. And so yes, we will do a pass across the PDF, finding all the splits and then split them, and then each invoice will process individually and exported individually. I'll have Richard look into what ITM is. I'm not familiar with ITM. Maybe that's a typo. If we act as HQ and put, this is another question, if we act as HQ and put all our clients on our subscription, then if they choose to change accountants, can the information be transferred to the new accountant or their personal subscription? Yes, so an EzzyBill account can always get moved around however you want. You can move it from one group to another group. You can move a group to a HQ account. You could move a group to another HQ account. So you got absolute flexibility in terms of how you want to move things around. So yes, if you have a client who's using one accountant, EzzyBills on one account, and then they want to move to a different account, then yes, they can do that easily without any change really, apart from leave group or remove group. Another question: with exports to Google Drive, can we put in a place a naming convention? We do have a default naming convention, and my recollection is it would be something like invoice supplier. So if for example I had a Google Drive connected to my group account and an invoice comes in, then the invoice will get deposited into Google Drive under a directory, which would be the EzzyBill username directory in Google Drive. And then under that, there'll be a file name, which would be the supplier name, followed by the invoice number, probably the date, that's my recollection, the date. So that would be the standard naming convention. So Justine has said that ITM is a building supplier. So she's asking, does EzzyBills integrate with ITM? I'm not sure exactly what is involved. If it's a case of ITM produces an invoice and can EzzyBills extract the data from that invoice, then the answer is yes. If it's the question is, can EzzyBills push data into ITM? Well, we push data into many different systems. And we've integrated with Simpro and Score and multiple different systems. So the integration just depends on what the end software system supports. Another question about ITM. Our client has around 1,300 invoices from. So if it would link into the company to process the data directly from them rather than sending invoices. Yeah, Jess, I think I'll have to send an email to you after this call. I need to study the ITM a bit better. Another question is Google Drive EzzyBills, or is a client linking to? Is the Google Drive EzzyBills, or is the client linking to their Google Drive? The Google Drive is your Google Drive account. So in my case, say I've got a Gmail account called michael@gmail.com. then I logged into that Gmail account, then I'll have access to a Google Drive. And so it's my Google Drive. And so what I would do is I'd log into EzzyBills in the settings. You can connect your account to Google Drive. You just go through that process of authorizing the connection. And once you've done that, then there's a change to the workflow that you have to do. You have to drop in a Google Drive export. But basically what would happen is after EzzyBills exports the bill to the accounting system, it would then copy that bill to your Google Drive, and it would be deposited in your Google Drive. So that's at that point, that's your data, your drive. Anything that you do with that, it's totally up to you. Another question is, Xero software becomes slow when a level of transactions is exceeded. Is there a data size restriction or a transactional quantity limit for using EzzyBills before clients notice a level of dysfunction? So Xero's main objective in terms of level of transactions or their publicly stated limits that they talk about, that's mainly about it has very little to do with the amount of data that your company file contains, or how old your data file is and things like that. It has to do with the ongoing processing cost, which is linked to, say, a transaction that's happening at any point in time. So to maintain quality of service, Xero likes to try to tell, don't put too many invoices or transactions into Xero at a particular time. And Xero doesn't really matter how big those, say, invoices are, or how many you've put in over, say, the last year. What really matters is how many are being put in, say, right now at this instant. So to answer that question, what I would say is that if you're got, say, 10,000 invoices a month going into your Xero account, then you're putting a lot of load on Xero, which they would prefer you not do, but it will have very little effect on your usage or the Xero. When you access your Xero account, you should not see any real cost associated with that, apart from reports, which can involve accessing large amounts of data. But in terms of the actual transactional costs and things like that, you should not notice any real problem. In terms of limits for EzzyBills, so we're restricted by Xero in terms of, like all add-on partners, in terms of how many invoices we can push into Xero per Xero company, and that restriction's something like 300 invoices in a 24-hour period per Xero company. So it looks like I've exhausted all your questions. So what I think I'll do, I'll just wrap up now with basically an invitation to, if you do have any sort of needs or requests that you think would make EzzyBills a better product and also make your life better, then reach out to us. We're building new integrations, we're adding new functionality all the time. So and it's all driven by our customers. So the kind of requests that you have would be the same requests that other clients or other of our customers would have. So if you've got something that you think you need, then it's likely that other people want that as well. And so if you reach out to us, let us know, and that's what drives our development and new features for the product.